Adrian Sutil making his return to Formula One.
A great story at the moment.
Doing a fine job, having been out of the sport for a year. He wouldn't ever be back in Formula One. Has just set the fastest lap of the race.
Certainly come back fresh, impressive performance.
Well, and what a way to come back into Formula One.
Hello everyone and welcome, and today we are back in round 3 of season S2 and I'm kicking off straight into practice. We're on the medium tyre. I wasn't looking very competitive. I couldn't get into the top 10 with it, even on like full rich mix, using all the track available with the setup. It just wasn't feeling out for me on these medium tyres. I just couldn't match the AI until I set this lap, which was actually somehow I improved by 4/10. And I mean, you can see this is lap 10. I've spent quite a lot of time on these tyres, so they're quite worn out, and yet I set my time later on in the session as well, and I go like 6th fastest, so that's good place in the session. And then later on I strap on the soft tyres, not super softs, the option tyres, and they were going absolutely brilliantly. The setup suddenly worked really well, and I was improving by around a second compared to my medium lap. And as I went across the line, I somehow found quite a lot in the last sector, and I actually went across the line and set the fastest time of the session. Very, very impressive actually. And I actually ended my first ever session on top of the standings. There you go, there I am at the top of the standings. So that's a good result there as we move on to qualifying. And unfortunately I knew that my medium tyre pace wasn't so good compared to the AI, so I scaled it back a little, and I decided to not go out on the hard tyre in the first qualifying and just go straight out on the soft tyres. Although it wasn't straight out though, I think I actually went out later on in the session. But you see here I had to actually overtake Bianchi on my lap. Not that much of a problem. I mean, I couldn't take the optimum line into the hairpin, but I got a good exit, and as I went to the line, I do not go as fast as I did in free practice 3. I just didn't get the lap hooked up at all. But as we went across the line, 6th place, easily through. And then in Q2, I didn't make it. I just couldn't improve my time. I just couldn't find the pace, and I couldn't even match my practice time. But we move on to the race now. I want to skip over qualifying really, because it wasn't really that amazing. And there was actually rain forecast for the race, around 72% it said. And I was thinking, as I didn't qualify in the Q3, of course, I can choose what tyre I wish to be on. Just move my mic there. And I decided to go onto the medium tyre. Despite my qualifying pace not being so good, I was hoping for a better race pace and hoping the rain would come down after everyone else has made their pit stop for option tyres, so then I can make one less pit stop and really take advantage out of that from intermediate tyres, or even wet, depending on how bad the rain is. But we go to the grid, and I am starting in 12th place. We have the lights here in Shanghai, and it's not that good of a start compared to the option runners. And you see my teammate right next to me, Paul, really matched me this weekend in terms of pace. And in the first corner I couldn't get past really, because there were three abreast. Quite impressive actually, considering what it was like last year, this track where you could just dive down the inside. But you can see here that I get a few positions at the start, especially the first 2 corners, and I'm side by side with Perez and Button. Button's ahead though, and I do a late braking manoeuvre straight down the inside of Button, and that's 8th place, and I'm behind the Red Bull of Mark Webber. And Webber and Vettel actually swapped positions for a lot of the time, and then on lap 6 they'll peel into the pits. Now I led Perez for a long time, as in he just stuck behind me. He's still behind me now. He wasn't pitting for a while, and my pace wasn't good, although I was hanging on to Webber and Vettel kind of, I wasn't losing that much time. It just wasn't that great of pace. But then the rain started falling on lap 7, and of course that made things very different, because everyone started pitting then for their prime tyres, while I just carried on and I took the lead. Rosberg was the one previously in the lead, but as the rain was falling I was thinking, yeah, I need to stay out as long as I can. Of course my tyres were completely shod, as in my tyres were shod by the time that their option tyres were shod. That shows how bad my tyre wear was. But you can see here that on lap 9 I have Rosberg right behind me, not giving me any room at all, and you can see the spray coming off the tyres, and I was thinking this might be the perfect time to come into the pits for intermediate tyres. Now it has to be noted my pace was nowhere compared to the other two races where arguably I was fast in some of it. You see you're going side by side with Rosberg here, but I had a really good straight line on this Force India. Thanks to the Mercedes engine and thanks to just the setup in general, which meant that I could keep my position ahead in that long straight. But we come into the pits now, but not for the option tyres, which I would normally do in a dry race, but for the intermediate tyres. Now of course this is a gamble as I pull into the pits now. It is a gamble which at the time I was thinking it may pay off, it may not. I may go too early on the intermediates, lose way too much time, so when they pit in the intermediates they'll come out ahead and there'll be no gain, or it could just be completely the wrong tyre and it might dry up, in which case I have to do another pit stop and that would be terrible. But we have 5 laps left and you can see that I drop to 11th place, as Grosjean gets past. And when I went first out of the pits I was thinking it may actually be intermediate tyre weather. And as I started approaching these tyres and the spray was getting larger and larger, the rain was getting heavier and heavier. This was good news for my race. As you can see the spray on the screen, the water started to appear on the camera. And I actually dive all the way up Grosjean. Oh, that sounds really bad. Yeah, that sounds really bad. But I've got the 2 McLarens ahead of me of Button and Perez, and I'm trying to get past Button, and I try right round the outside. I try it, but I don't quite have the grip to do it. And then into this next complex, I have to be very careful not to spin it. I spun it a couple of times in practice there, which is why I lost quite a lot of time. I also think this part of the track was slightly drier than the first sector. But we're about to head onto the massive straight, and I'm thinking maybe if I get in the slipstream of these two, I could pass them at the end and gain some positions, which would be good as we go down the very, very long straight. It's amazingly long actually, and I've got 201, 202 top speed, which is faster than the AI had. And I decide to dive up the inside of Button, cutting the corner slightly, and then I tried to go beside Perez, but it doesn't come to avail because of course he goes straight in the pits, goes straight on, and I nearly crash into him actually, so that's quite dangerous. But we pass everyone and we go into first place, and for these next 4 laps I was completely on the edge, as in I was slow and I was trying to keep it on the track and keep Rosberg and Massa behind. And you'll see here, as we skip to the last lap, I am still in the lead and I've got a train appearing behind me, the Sutil train, not quite the Truly train because it's not in dry conditions, but yeah, they're all piling up behind me and it looks really, really tough, and it was tough. But this was such a cracker of a race. Honestly, it was amazing to drive. I was surprised that the strategy worked, to be honest, because most of the time when I do this strategy, especially in league racing, I just get it completely wrong. Usually I go way too early for intermediates, just because I am struggling. But Rosberg just couldn't make the move stick on me. As we went along the main straight, he's trying to get on my slipstream. But yet again, I used my rich fuel mix on the main straight just to give myself a bit more as we head into the hairpin, and you can't just dive up the inside of the hairpin unless I was to make a mistake and go wide, but I don't. And as we go round and up to the last corner, this looks to be the first ever victory for Adrian Sutil, and it is at the Chinese Grand Prix. Adrian Sutil wins the Chinese Grand Prix ahead of Nico Rosberg and Felipe Massa, the first victory of his career. It was an amazing race and I really enjoyed it, and my pace wasn't that good, but I made the strategy work, and I went up to 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. with 3 Germans at the top of the Drivers' Championship. You can see there Nico Rosberg leading. And in the Constructors, I've lifted Force India back up to 4th position, which is, we want to be higher, but that is the good position for now. But this has been Alex Stopp. This has been round 3 of Season as Sutil. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Alex, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.